again, friends, and welcome to another segment here on Doc G's Wine and Spirits Review. As you can see, I have returned to the friendly confines of my art cellar to share with you some wonderful information about a trip that we just took that you may have followed on my blog. As you know, if you were following, we spent a good 4 or 5 days in the Yakima Valley in Washington State. And today, I'd like to recap that trip for you now that I can share some of the wines with you. I gave you a couple of live spots from in front of the wineries where we were. And now I'd like to show you the bounty that we secured from our trip, since we had a lot of the wine shipped home and it has finally arrived here for me to share with you. So to get that started, we are going to start with a sparkling that comes from it's a specific sparkling house that's in the Yakima Valley, and this is Yakima Bubbly. So there you go, nice soft sound as they say you should do. Let me pour a little bit of this, let it settle, because you know me, I can't get started unless I wet my whistle. So cheers. And welcome to today's recap on our trip to the Yakima Valley. So oh, that's wonderful. It's got a nice yeasty note on it. It is a Blanc de Blanc. Let me talk about this before we get started. 12% ABV, so it's dry. And they have a whole series. I'll post about I'll put a hashtag on here, and if you want to go explore their winery, you certainly can. I would recommend it. They do a fantastic stop. You come in, you get a reservation, they put up charcuterie, you can get whatever you want to eat, and they give you a nice flight of all of the sparklings that they make. They also have a nice rosé. I have one of those, but I'm just going to feature this one for today. So let me begin with a overview of Yakima before I even get started, because now I feel like if I would have talked about it in advance, it would have just been theory and fantasy. I have been there, as I told you, spent almost a week in the area, 3 solid days in the Yakima Valley. So let me talk about the Yakima Valley, where it is, what it's all about wine-wise, and then I'll talk to you about the Yakima Valley through the wines that I have posted here for you on the table. So where is Yakima? Yakima is about 3 hours approximately east of the city of Seattle. And you have to go over the Cascade Mountains, which any time of the year are absolutely breathtaking. We got lucky and we decided we usually take our trip in late October, maybe early November. Well, it's good we didn't do that, because I know it has snowed over the Cascades in just within the last week. When we were there, we did not have that problem. We were there in mid-September. We flew into Seattle, so if you're contemplating going, you live around here or wherever you might depart from, we had a direct flight, 5.5 hours, Philly, Seattle, one plane, boom, rented a car. Car rental situation at Seattle Airport is a little weird, but we'll save that for another time. We're not here to talk about that. So we got our car, drove out to Yakima. We went on a Thursday, Friday, and Saturday, and I usually do that because the wineries are not as crowded as they are on weekends. So we did 3 wineries on Thursday, we got there Wednesday, 3 wineries on Thursday, 3 wineries on Friday, and only 1 winery on Saturday. We reserved a little time because Yakima, and I'm not going to talk about that, is the hops capital of the world. So we actually had some excellent beer while we were there as well. I didn't bring any back, and I'm sure there's beers around here that I could find that are made from Yakima hops, the great Cascade hops. So we were there for those 3 days, and the Yakima Valley, Yakima, the name itself, comes from the Yakima tribe, Native American tribe. There's a Yakima River. There's a river valley there. And there's thoughts when you talk about Washington State, that it's rainy and dreary and this and that. Well, I can tell you, even in Seattle when we were there, we spent a little time in Seattle, it hardly rained. One day we got some rain coming back over the Cascades on the way in. I took a scenic route trying to see Mount Rainier, and that didn't work out. We just had cloud cover at 5,000 feet. But The weather in Yakima was hot, sunny, and dry. The Yakima Valley is an elevated, it's literally, if you read about it, in some places it's drier than the Gobi Desert. So it's an elevated desert, and they do very creative things with taking the Yakima River and irrigating. They irrigate uphill. So they've come up, they have to survive there because it is so dry. But thankfully they get some rain, and they do have the Yakima River and other streams and tributaries around there that help them do what they do with grapes. The hills are literally brown. I'll try to post some pictures. When you drive through the area, you see these green vineyards right up against straw. And you can tell that's where they irrigated. And the grapes, the wine is fantastic. So the Yakima Valley is is an AVA. It's part of the bigger Columbia AVA. As you know, the Columbia River is in Washington State. The whole state of Washington has approximately 1,000 plus. I don't have an exact number, but it's over 1,000 wineries. The Yakima Valley itself has 90 to 100 wineries, and they're all kind of compact in the area we were in. So you can see in 3 days, what are we going to try to do? You got to pick and choose. So I did a lot of research before we left. I try to pick out boutique wineries that I know are not things that I can find on the shelves in the liquor stores. Try to go with the reviews that I read, and we hit pay dirt. Every winery we were at had very good wines. What we usually do is somebody in the group, because we have a group of 8, joins different clubs, then we ship them back and we divvy them up, and we all get to have some great Washington State wine. So with that amount of wine coming out of the state, the number of wineries, over 1,000, it makes Washington State, believe it or not, you know California is number 1. Washington State is the second largest producer of wine in the United States. And a lot of you go, oh God, I don't know if I've ever had some Washington wines. Well, you probably have. They're under different labels. There are some really high-end wineries. There are some wineries that do more mass production, middle-of-the-road wine. We tried to find wine that kind of split the difference there. And I have some wine here that I'm going to talk about with you. So we drove out to Yakima. It took us 3 hours to get there, and we really just, our longest drive, we got just a regular hotel in the city of Yakima, and we drove out to our wineries each day and never had more than a half an hour to 40-minute drive between any stop. And a couple of them were literally, one was here and one was right down the road. So we really were able to maximize our time with the winemakers, talking to them about the area and enjoying their wine. So if you want to know a little bit more, again, you're talking about wines from Walla Walla. That was a little too far for us to get there, and there's no real good way to get in there with an airline. If you have extra time, you want to drive out to Walla Walla and make Washington like a 2-3 week trip, they say the wines in Walla Walla are also very good. We didn't really have a bad wine, I can just tell you that right now. Then you obviously the Columbia Valley, it's the largest river and longest river in Washington, and then the Yakima Valley is part of that whole area. Yakima is broken up into different areas. There's the Zilla area, there's the Prosser area, there's the Red Mountain. Red Mountain is a famous AVA, known for producing fantastic, great red wines. And I would say this to you, there are great wines of all colors out there, rosé, red, and white. But if you really like red wines, Washington State is your place. The grape varieties that you will find in Yakima are really cab heavy. Cab Sauvignon, Cab Franc, Merlot, Malbec, Petit Verdot. Frankly, they are the same wines that go into great Bordeaux blends. So if you find good Washington red blends, they're going to be the bomb. I mean, I have some here on the table. They do Rhone reds. They have some Grenache and Syrah grows very well there. The whites that do well there are Sauvignon Blanc. They do some Chardonnay. It's not really that much known for Chardonnay in that area. They're starting to experiment more with like Grenache Blanc, Roussanne, and Claret, which are, if you're familiar with wine grapes, are great white Rhone varieties that do well in the climate in Washington State. I'm telling you, when we were there, it hit 90 one day in the middle of September in Washington State, which is, right on the Canadian border. So don't be fooled by the geography. It was warm, it was sunny, and it was hot. And unfortunately, there were some local wildfires that tamped down our views of Mount Adams and Mount Rainier. That was a little bit disappointing. Frankly, the best view I got of Mount Rainier because of that smoke was when we flew in over the mountain as we approached Seattle. And that's another talking point. If you would go there, Seattle, and you've never been there, I'm going to put that on your bucket list. You can go to Seattle and you can be out in wine country in 3 hours. You could definitely. That's what we did. We made it a weekend. We flew in and out of Yakima. So there is a nice summary. It took about 6 or 7 minutes there to explain to you what the Yakima Valley was all about. I told you about our trip. So what I'd like to do for you now is walk you through the Yakima Valley, through the wines that I have here on the table. And I'm not going to mention all the wineries that we went to because frankly we didn't buy wine at every winery. It just becomes too burdensome. You can't, some people just didn't like them enough to want to join clubs. So before I do that, another sip. And we didn't ship this, by the way. I'll plug this one now. This one for my PA friends is available for about $15 at PA Wine and Spirits, and they have 3 of their varieties. They have this, they have their rosé, and they have another little higher end brut rosé. All of their sparkling was very good. Actually, when we were there, they had a sparkling Riesling and a sparkling Gewürztraminer. So that was the first time I'd ever encountered that, and it was wonderful. So don't ever overlook wines that are sparkling just because they're not Chardonnay or Pinot Noir. And that's one other wine you won't find much of in the Yakima Valley. There's not much Pinot Noir that's grown there. I'm sure there was some, we just didn't really encounter it. So what I like to start with is I usually like to go red to white. It doesn't really matter here today because I'm not going to open all of these, but I'm going to start with one of my favorite stops. And we stopped at a little winery, as you can see here on the bottle, a place called Deneen. This was our very first stop when we got there. And I wanted to feature for you, I have a red one from them too, but I just wanted to, I'm not going to open these. I'll get back to you and let you know how they were. This first one here is a Deneen Yakima Valley Grenache Blanc 2024. So it's a young wine. It's probably got about 2-3 years on it to drink it. And it is a 100% Grenache Blanc, which is kind of rare for Washington State, but some of these wineries and winemakers are willing to experiment, and they are very good at their craft. And this Grenache Blanc, I haven't had it. I did sample it at the winery. That's why I bought it. It's wonderful. So there's your Deneen Vineyards Grenache Blanc. This was after our club discount, only a $21 bottle of wine. The rosé that there's plenty of rosé in the area because of the reds. This Deneen Vineyards Rosé is a 50-50 blend of Cab Sauvignon and Cab Franc. I'll be honest with you, I was never crazy about Cabernet Sauvignon rosés. I've had a few in the past, but when I tasted this one, I fell in love with it immediately. And as a club member, I'm sure I'll make some more shipments of this back home. This, when our club discount, was $19 a bottle. So that was our first stop, Deneen. The winery is located in a little town called Zilla, and that's very close to where we were staying. There's only maybe a 10-15 minute drive to those first wineries. So let's go to another winery. Now the rest of the wines that are on the table now are red. I can tell you, Washington State is a great place to buy red wines. So if you're looking with the gift season coming up, holidays, Thanksgiving, Christmas, and you're looking to mix it up a little bit and get a red that you may have never tried before, pick off anything from the shelf that you can find. And if it's from Washington State, don't be afraid to give it a try. You can find some at a very good price point. So let me begin with the first one I'm going to do is a red blend. This is called Sinister Hand, really cool label. This is by a winery called Owen Rowe. And Owen Rowe was, again, a little town called Richland, which is in the Zilla area. I actually printed up a stat sheet on this one. This one is a fermented in stainless steel. And the most important thing, again, it's a Rhone red. It's got Grenache, Syrah, Mourvedre. If you've heard me talk about those before, that's your classic Côte du Rhône GSM, they call them, Grenache Syrah Mourvedre blend. And they put a little Sanso, which is another red grape that is part of the Rhone Valley profile of wines. So this is the 2021 Rhone blend called Sinister Hand. You can get it at Winery Owen Rowe, is well known in that area as a boutique winery. And this one was somewhere in the neighborhood of about $20 a bottle. It might have been a little more. I actually forgot to jot that down. So that's another winery that we visited, Owen Rowe. So there you see the, I have some others that I took. So the next one we went to was a place called Freehand Cellars. And Freehand Cellars is by their location in a little town called Sunnyside, which was down the road from Zilla. This was a little bit of a drive, but we loved the winery. And my favorite wine there, actually, because I didn't want a lot of wine from them, I put this one in my suitcase, two of them in my suitcase, and brought them home because I didn't want to get other ones from them. But this is a Mourvedre. I'm in love with the grape Mourvedre. It is also a Rhone grape. It can be a Spanish grape, and it can also be a grape from Washington and California. It does very well on the west coast of the United States. This was a $36 bottle, no shipping because it came home in my suitcase. And I cannot wait to drink this one. It's young. It's a 2024, so I don't have to crack that one open anytime soon. It's a very, very dark, inky, big wine. So that takes care of another winery that we spent time at. And the final winery that I want to highlight is a place called Fortuity Cellars. Now they were a cellar. They source all their grapes from the different wine growers in that area. That's a big thing in a lot of these places. Now this, I happened to open for dinner the other night, and there's still some left, so I'm actually going to sample it right with you. This is a 100% Grenache, lovely color. Fortuity Cellars, this was a $36 bottle after our discounts. So you can see some of them can get a little pricey. Nice subtle cherry and spice. I enjoyed this with a filet, and it was absolutely fantastic. Very dry. It's a little young. Even after sitting a couple days, it's still got a nice little grip on it. And that's a 2023, so that would have years. And I have another one of those. I might let it sit a year or two before I open it. This one didn't make it a month. So sometimes you got to do that. There's nothing wrong with opening a wine young. It's just going to wind up having a little bit different profile. If you give it a little bit more air, a little bit more decanting time, it helps the wine open up at least a little bit. But there's nothing that can replace 3 or 4 years of bottle aging, no matter how long you decant it. So there you go, my friends. That is a recap of the Cork Jester's trip through Yakima Valley. I highly recommend it. It's a wonderful place to visit. The hotels are very, you can go from Red Roof Inn style all the way to luxury posh resorts that are out there in that area that are attached to wineries, etc., etc. We frankly chose a Holiday Inn. It was a wonderful Holiday Inn, well equipped, had a little bar, was comfortable, staff was great, parking on grounds, and close to all of the wineries. So one more toast before we go. And with the holiday season, I hope you're getting into the spirit and you're getting ready to, I know some of you out there have already taken down all your Halloween decorations, and Thanksgiving decorations are abound. Some people have already begun to decorate for Christmas. Whatever it is you're doing, touche to you, and thanks for joining me. Cheers, and we'll see you next time, friends.